like QBS?
QBS has helped us change our business.
QBS is helping drive and transform our business moving forwards. Das ist QBS gibt.
Der Partner für die Zukunft.
QBS ist toll.
Lucis and QBS, hello!
So once again, good afternoon. At least if you live in the same time zone as we do here in Netherlands. And otherwise, good morning or good afternoon. And welcome at this webinar from QBS Group with the nice title Hot News. And you see hot in capital, Hot News of Directions EMEA 2017. I can't see you, so I'm not sure of all the people in the call if you were in Madrid, yes or no. And maybe if you were in Madrid, if you paid a lot of attention to the discos and the beers or to the sessions, I can't see it, but I assume you all know that last week, Wednesday till Friday, the event Directions EMEA was organized in Madrid. It ended last Friday, so we thought the first day after, the first working day, is the day for us to share hot news with you. So I expect that for the next 45 minutes, we'll talk about the happenings and try to get some conclusions and go-dos for partners. Okay, so if I look at the overall event, and please don't forget, we didn't have much time to prepare this one. So the first thing that came up in my mind is that Madrid was the 10th edition of Directions EMEA. And before I forget, I think we should all say that we congratulate the organization committee with this anniversary, but much more than that, we all should take our head off and go very deep and bow for this committee, because these people are volunteers, and it's really amazing if you think what they have been done in the last year to organize this Madrid event, but some of them even in the past 10 years to organize all these events. Right? It's not a commercial organization. They do it for free in their spare time. And I have unbelievable lot of respect for what these people are doing. So on Wednesday morning, they started the event with a nice introduction video that sort of showed us the journey from the first Directions EMEA event. I think it was in Paris 10 years ago with some 200 attendees, mainly functional and technical people, to Madrid, where the organization committee booked an all-time high record with over 2,100 attendees. So it's interesting, 10 times more people in 10 years. Not just that, it's not just the number of people, but also they succeeded in broadening the event from a functional/technical event to an event for all the channel. So we've seen sales and marketing people coming up, we've seen business owners, so let's say almost all of the roles that you see in a partner organization are mirrored in the agenda and in the attendees for the event. So partners came from all over the world. You would expect with this acronym EMEA that they come from Europe, Middle East and Africa, and of course the majority came from there, but people really came from everywhere in the world. And from those 2,100 plus, we had a group of 23 people representing QBS. So in the start, Christian Sega, the chairman of the organization committee, shared the experiences over the past 10 years and also informed all of us about the repositioning of the event. So as you all know, for long years, this was an ERP only event, or even before an NAV only event. Later on, some GP partners got on board. And today it is repositioned as a Dynamics, small medium business Dynamics SMB event. So this was the first time that actively all the CRM partners were invited as well, but also the agenda contained some 30% of all the sessions that were CRM focused. And as you all know, this makes sense since Microsoft is moving away from single category product like standalone NAV GP or standalone CRM towards concepts like Dynamics 365 that cover both. So it was good to see, I guess, that already 25% of all the attendees was CRM oriented. So that means that they either have a standalone CRM practice or these are partners that do both already. Well, there's lots more to say, but since time is limited, the last thing I would share for this page is that they already scheduled and planned for the 2018 event. And this time you will be all very welcome in our nice country, the Netherlands, if you can find it, because it's a pretty small country. But this will be in The Hague from October the 31st, as you can see, till November the 2nd. So that's already good to know, and put that in your agenda. Okay. What I didn't do, sorry for that, is that in the bottom of your screen you see presentation and Q&A. So if you want to see the presentation, I think you understand, you need to click on presentation. If you might have any questions already for the Q&A, then please write those questions in the Q&A box. So at the end we will find them and then try to get the answers on your queues. So here's an overview of the auditorium. Of course, with 2,000 plus people, you need an even bigger room. So I think we had a great accommodation where all the people were sitting around the podium. Well, we're all familiar that in the weeks before Directions EMEA, there was a lot of rumors, there were a lot of articles, there was a lot of uncertainty about things that Microsoft unveiled in Directions US in Orlando 2.5 weeks ago. So what we saw was that some German partners came up with an action with stickers, as you can see here, saying save our beloved NAV. And what they did, shared those stickers to other partners, and as you can see here with Björn Eickhoff from Vision Data, that he put it in his badge, like a lot of people did that. I think this was a, let's say, nice way of expressing concern from partners. And you know, for me, it was symbolic for the concerns that were all over the audience in the start, right? So I think the message was, you know, this is our NAV. And don't keep your fingers away and don't change it too much. And I think in the first keynote on Wednesday morning, Marco Perisic was on stage. He covered both keynotes, by the way. And he said what we've learned over the last 2 weeks is that NAV is not just a product, but NAV is a long life passion. And I think most of you in the call, if you work longer with the product, I think you can all, let's say, admit and underpin that this is real, the situation. So we saw concerned people in the beginning, and we saw like this small, funny, you could say, action. I have to say that when the conference was over, we all said there was a clear story, and we've seen a lot of good things. So that made us all, let's say, happy, and hopefully that is making the concerns in the partner channel much smaller than it was on today. Okay, I'm not here to make advertisements, you all know that, but hopefully you will be there before the dark. Yep, hope you can see it. So what you see now on your screen is the business report that we QBS, or in this time, as you can see on the left, the sister company Partner Masterclass wrote on Directions EMEA 2016 last year in Prague. So we wrote a report with 50 plus pages of very relevant content, and this report, it was available for all the QBS partners. And the one that we write on 2017 will also be available for QBS partners. So as you can see in the top, we say, or our mantra is, QBS partners are the best informed Microsoft partners. If you're not a QBS partner today, of course, you get that opportunity to buy the report. I'll tell you some more in the end. Next to writing reports, we continued with our experiment from Inspire WPC last summer to start writing vlogs, to create vlogs, video blogs. So this is the one on the first one that gives a summary of the first day. So these are on the QBS website, and you can also find them on LinkedIn. So we made those vlogs per day. And in a minute, you see, I'll get a bit more tired because it's day 2, and as most of you know, it's pretty intensive to be there. So we had the second one, and in a minute, you see the slide of the third day. And just like in Washington, I did the third and last one as a resume together with my colleague Michael, where we discussed a bit, you know, what are the most important changes that we've seen, what's most remarkable, and what are the go-dos for partners. Gee, we have a nice performance today. I hope you enjoy in the mean. So on top of that, in total we delivered 8 sessions. Myself, I was involved in 2 of them, and I think there's all kind of reasons to tell you a bit about that. So the first one was as you can see, 7 strong reasons to keep selling Dynamics NAV to new customers. I'll tell you a bit more about the availability of Dynamics 365 Tenerife in a minute, but I think that it's all kind of reasons for partners to focus for the next few months on selling NAV. So I thought there was an interesting session with about 100 people and a lot of pretty good feedback. So in the end, I'll give you an option to download the slides or request the slides, because there might be interesting content for you as well. And that's not just on the NAV. My second session was on CRM, and it says 4 important reasons to start a CRM practice. So I think most of the NAV partners in the call today, you hop around on one leg, but Dynamics 365 will sort of force you to start walking on 2 legs, the ERP leg on the one side and the CRM leg on the other side. And in this session, I try to explain, why people should do that. Okay, more than enough on QBS and our content. The partner ecosystem. So Marco Perisic in the bottom, you can see him there, explained a new view on the partner ecosystem. So what I did it step by step, and I make the picture of the final picture, right, of the final slide, but it was built up in different steps. But if you concentrate on the top in the middle, you see Office 365 and Dynamics 365, and just below you see 3, I would say, markets: small businesses, 1 to 10 employees. Then we get easy adoption, let's say 10 to whatever bigger, and then you see extensive capabilities. And these 3 things correlate to products that Microsoft will deliver under the Dynamics 365 Tenerife umbrella. So if you go down from Office, black, you see small businesses, and then in the middle you see Office 365 Business Center. And that's the place where Microsoft has a few small apps. Think connections, think bookings, think invoicing, that are available for Office 365 users and could be seen as sort of a plugins. So these are very small apps for very small companies, pretty limited in functionality, but it's great for them to have partners starting with Tenerife in an early stage. That's the idea. And as we all know, more than 90% of all businesses in the world are using Office 365. So if we succeed as an ecosystem in leveraging those Office 365 customers, let them start using very simple Dynamics 365 Tenerife modules, and if they become bigger or complexer or both, then of course a natural step is to dive into the real Dynamics 365 Tenerife. So I would say big applause for Microsoft for now, finally leveraging, let's say, this huge customer base of Office customers. And you know that 9 out of 10 or even more of your prospects already have Office. Maybe not Office 365, but Office 2003 or 7. But that gives them a good reason to upgrade. And of course, then you might say you already have the first part of the solution in-house. If you go to the right, you see Dynamics 365 with easy adoption, as in standard, and extensive capabilities, as in customized. So we will see the block below add-on apps on the left-hand side, standard, and you see embed apps, more customized ones. Then we see on the left-hand of the picture, we see apps and app source, where Microsoft shows the different new tools that you can use to build and maintain apps. Think Flow, think Power Apps. On the right-hand side, we see services, and it says services app side. So on the left-hand side, it's apps. That was known to all of us, but Microsoft now makes it possible to also put your services on AppSource. So as you see, you could think about an assessment, a briefing, an implementation, a proof of concept, a kickoff, a workshop, whatever services you have. If you're able to bundle that and you say, for this particular app, let's say the sales app, we offer you 10-day standard implementation to do Salesforce automation in the French language in north of Canada, whatever. Right? Then that's some offering that you can put on your app source. Can you expect to do deals there? Well, maybe not, but at least it's a great lead generator where people say, hey, I'm interested with your language skills in this part of the world, with your experience with this type of solution. So that makes it possible for you to get, extra leads. I'll show a nice picture of that in a minute. And this whole picture is then combined with something called Dynamics 365 Accountant Hub on the right hand side in light blue. So Microsoft spent extra attention and built functionality to make it possible that accountants are using the system on behalf of their small customers. Now, we all know that accountants are trusted advisors, right? We know on average that our prospects and the business owners rather trust their accountant than they do to their partner salesperson. That's a fact, I would say. So it's good to have a better connection with accountants, and I know that Microsoft is also ambitious to get accountants companies into the ecosystem as well. So here we have, an overview of the ecosystem that says, we can start small, grow bigger, standardize, and go big with customizations. And you'll see that App Source is now available not just for your standard apps, but also for your standard services. So what we see as, Dynamic 365 Tenerife is one product. I think that's a super important thing because it means that the cloud solution, but also Dynamics NAV from now on will be part of the Dynamics 365 umbrella, which is super important. Then it says there's one product, there's two deployment options, on-prem and cloud. The choice to the customer. Don't forget, please, dear Microsoft friends, many of your competitors cannot offer this choice. If you look at NetSuite, they only have cloud. They can't do on-premise. So their salespeople have to push the cloud because that's their only moneymaker. There's lots of other companies with older systems. Think a lot of Sage systems. Think a lot of Infor systems that are only available on-prem. Right? So please don't forget to talk with your customers about the power of choice. You can do on-prem, you can do cloud. Then there's two go-to-markets, and that was part of the rumor coming from Directions US. So Microsoft wants to have Dynamics 365 as a business management suite, an all-in solution, but on top of that also as a business application platform where ISVs can build on that. Right? Then we saw the picture, the three PMCs, product market combinations, the small businesses, easy adoption, and the extensive capabilities where, yes, you can make customizations on a multi-tenant cloud system. We touched already on the leveraging of the Office 365 customer base, which is, I think, a great point. And then Microsoft announced there will be much more localizations. So as you probably recall, so far, Dynamics 365 Business Edition for Finance and Operations, that was the full name, wasn't it? Was available only in 3 countries so far. That's Canada, US, and UK. So in a minute, I'll show you that Microsoft now announced that Dynamics 365 Tenerife will be available next year in spring for 14 localizations. So that's a big step ahead. And if that was not enough, they also showed a new user interface, new UI. I get a picture from that as well. So this slide was shown in Washington 3.5 months ago in the event called Inspire or WPC. And I thought I'd take this one again to show the 3 sort of options. So it says on the left, out of the box. Then it says easy onboarding, and then it says extensibility. And as you see here, it still talks about business edition and financials. That's why, because it's already 3.5, 4 months old. But it shows us, in one slide, the 3 sort of options, right? Invoicing, customer manager connections, all connected in the Office 365 Business Center. Then we get easy onboarding for those companies that say, I need a full-fledged system, but it needs to be implemented simply, low risk, fast and cheap. And then we got extensibility for the companies that are more complex. See this all coming together in the roadmap. So go from left to right. You see in the bottom, you see NAV 2016, 2017, 2018, which is announced, will be available the 1st of December 2018. And then we see something called Dynamics NAV 2018 Release 2. Okay, so we will have 2 versions of Dynamics 2018 in the next 6 months. And the question is, does this mean that Microsoft leaves the path of one new version a year and now moves to a biannual upgrade? Or is this coincident and will, after R2, will we continue to 1 a year? Right? I don't know the answer, but that's interesting to follow. On the top, you see the cloud solutions. So on the left-hand side, it says Dynamics 365 for Financials. Business Edition, that was the old name. Then the 1st of June 2017, they changed the name towards Dynamics 365 for Financial. That must be Finance, so that must be a mistake, but it is confusing. Finance and Operation Business Edition. In the fall, Microsoft says we still have this Finance. Now you see it's right? Finance and Operations Business Edition. And the next step will be Dynamics 365 Tenerife, at least the cloud version of that in spring. And then that will be ongoing. So what can we learn from this picture? I didn't mention the right one on the bottom. So it says Dynamics 365 Tenerife on-prem. So what we see here in this picture is that Microsoft will bring both the cloud solution as NAV on-prem under one umbrella. And I think that's terrific news for all you NAV lovers, because we all knew that competition was claiming that NAV was end of life, was taken out of the website, there was no rumor, and Microsoft did spend all the marketing budgets on Dynamics 365. Well, the good news is that now, at least when we are moving to the ongoing situation, that NAV will be part of the Dynamics 365 umbrella. So on the branding side, I think that's a great point. And the next slide is on availability. So this, of course, was a slide where a lot of people were waiting for. So let me walk you through from top to down. So there is Dynamics 365 for sales. As you know, we don't use CRM anymore, but it's sales, marketing, and services all together as customer engagement. So for sales, Microsoft will come up with a new version, and that was announced as second price point. What this basically means is they will take the enterprise sales module as it is, or sales app, and make it a bit smaller, limit the functionality and limit the price. So the general availability of that is expected to be in spring 2018. Then we got the marketing app. That one is in preview as we speak. Then we get NAV 2018. I already said that will be available the 1st of December 2017. And then there will be Dynamics 365 Tenerife Cloud General Availability Spring 2018. Where is it available? Well, that's the 14 countries that you see in the bottom. I'm not so good in it, but it starts with US, Canada, UK, Denmark, Netherlands, Germany, Spain. And then I'm not so sure, but I'm pretty sure you can see if your national flag is with that or not. So moving from 3 countries with a localized business edition now in one step to 14, I think it's a big step ahead, and that should give us all some confidence that countries 15 to 43 or whatever it is should follow soon. So we see now, the screen you see now is the new user interface. So Microsoft changed and spent a lot of time and energy and money in sort of redesigning the user interface, and this is what Dynamics 365 Tenerife will look like. So you see the desktop left, you see the mobile experience on the right hand side, and I'm not a technical person, but I would say as a business guy this looks pretty good. Okay, some comments on the roadmap, as far as I did not commented on that already. So Microsoft said we're going to stop with the differentiation between Enterprise Edition, 250 users and more, or 250 employees, and the Business Edition. And the learning in Microsoft was that this split was sort of unnatural. And they explained that by saying that, you know, if you say you're big or you're small, doesn't always mean you're complex, more complex or less complex. So that it created a lot of confusion in the market where people say, you know, you can't tell to me if I'm complex or not complex. Again, size does not always matter. If they say I'm in sales and I need a complex, you know, rich sales option, why is the enterprise sales app not available for me? So they decided to let go and to say let us put the customer in the center, and let's have an analyzer what the customer needs, and then the customer can choose what they want, right? So no longer Enterprise Edition, Business Edition. I said something about update frequency for NAV, because we have 2 Navision 2018s in the next 6 months. Let's see what that means. We saw the 14 countries, and the question, of course, is, you know, what's the schedule, what's the planning of the countries? They're not in the top 14. Microsoft did not say anything about that, but that's something we'll have to find out. We have to wait for sales and marketing a while. So good news is the products are coming. Right, the other side of the coin is they're not here today, and it also means that you all have to keep on selling NAV for a while. So even if you're in the 14 countries, I think we all have to wait until Dynamics 365 Tenerife, which is a code name, so we can expect the real name in the next few weeks or months. But we all have to wait until it's ready, until it's localized, until you send your people to training and so on. So that's for the people living in the 14 countries, right? So it means that if you talk today with your pipeline and the prospects that are ready to closing, you can talk about Dynamics 365 Tenerife, but it's not there, right? So it's important that we all keep on selling NAV for a while, and then be smart in the way how we can bring them from NAV as the first stepping stone towards the Dynamics 365 Tenerife when available. I already said something about rebranding NAV. So these are few comments on roadmap. So the slide we see here is one that came from a very interesting demo, because I should almost forget that the demos were pretty impressive that we saw. So this was a demo where the demoing person was interested in a certain app, and all of a sudden we saw this pop-up screen in the right top bottom that says, did you know about the services our partner offer? So what Microsoft did was linking certain apps in AppSource to certain services in AppSource. Right? So it's not just that people start searching themselves as in a pool, but you might say this is sort of a push message where somebody who is doing a trial for an app also get notifications about available services. Again, I think this is a great tool and a great way of getting people attracted, not just in the software, but also in the services, because we all know that just the software doesn't make the success, right? I would claim that services are at least as important as the software. So for me, this is a call to action to all partners in the channel, and for sure for all of you in the call, go get your services packaged in a smart way and then put them on AppSource. And if your services are not yet bundled or packaged in a smart way, then I would say learn how to do that. But in the meantime, start looking on AppSource, what other people do, what it looks like, right? And you can't say, here are my services, time and materials, and that's it. Of course, you need to make bundles, like 10 days for this or 2 days for that, and saying what you do, what you deliver, what the outcome is. But I think this is an interesting next step in the evolution of AppSource, also adding services, and I think a great tool for Microsoft to support your commercial process with your services. So the next slide is on branding and rebranding, and as you see in the top, this one was also from our Inspire 2017 webinar. So there was the situation where Microsoft came up with changing brandings. I think I explained in my previous Inspire webinar, hopefully you were there, that Microsoft tried to avoid ERP and CRM acronyms simply because they're poisoned. But the dilemma for Microsoft is coming with a new concept that is not really has landed in the market. It's difficult to get people for this new concept. So we saw that finance and operations as separate items gave the wrong association. That was the reason to go to Dynamics 365 for finance and operations, new guidelines and whatever. Now we're all waiting till what Microsoft comes up with the new official branding for what is now called Tenerife. Again, that's a code name. And there were a lot of criticism on the fact that for finance and operations, business edition was far too long. But I think we just learned that business edition and enterprise edition will disappear, so that makes the name shorter. But of course, we need to have an easy to remember, easy to use, easy to brand name. So I'm not sure what the impact is for you. We have to wait. The only thing I say is be careful, please, not to link your own products, your own services, your own add-on too much on the Microsoft branding as it is today, because we can be pretty sure that they will change that, and then you might have the wrong links. So the next one is on certification. So I was in a few sessions around this topic. I got a picture, but I wasn't sitting in front of the screen, so as you can see. So it talks about cloud business application competency. And basically it was a Q&A session with lots of Q's and not many A's, as Christy Hoover said. So Microsoft was asking partners, what do you like? What do you miss? What do you think is good and bad? We showed our hands. And so what the main message is, the competencies that we have today will change, because the competencies that you have is ERP, and if you're in CRM, it's cloud CRM. And as you can see in the third bullet, these ERP and cloud CRM will be phased out. Not sure when, right? The competencies are under construction now that the business edition, enterprise edition split is gone, and Microsoft is working on, what it would look like. The interesting observation that I did was that, like 3 years ago, Microsoft almost skipped all the requirements for NAV. And I know the partner channel was upset because some of you just spent tons of money and time in training your people. All of a sudden it was not necessary anymore. Looks to me that Microsoft now sort of is getting back to the old position, saying, if quality is still important, right, we need to have certified partners, and we only want to put certified partners in front of our customers and prospects. Well, few things are still open. Will the exams return as we had them in the past? Questions on that. What will be the revenue thresholds? In other words, how much minimum revenue should you have? And we know that revenue in cloud with monthly subscription is completely else than on-prem revenue, that where the money comes on day one. Myself, I suggested to bring in sales and marketing aspects in this certification process, as I strongly believe that the product information of Dynamics 365 will be all over the place in the next 12 to 18 months. Everything will be online. Is it not in the public domain, then at least on partner source. So it will be more and more difficult and for you guys to set yourself apart based on product knowledge. So you have to set yourself apart on marketing and sales. So I think it makes sense to sort of do an assessment or whatever and make clear to partners that certification can only be received when you have good sales and marketing. Well, on top of that, there is ISV Cloud Embed. There is an ISV Embed set of rules. Microsoft is working on an ISV Cloud Embed rules. If I remember well, they said it will be available this month for enterprise. So still a split there. And based on that, they will sort of review that program and come up with an ISV Cloud Embed program for small and medium businesses, partners like you and me. And they said that will be ready at the launch of Tenerife. In the end of the session, Marko Perisic, who by the way did 2 keynotes, and in that it seems that he took over the Paul White role, because last year in Prague, as you might recall, Marko did the more product side and Paul did the more market side. Now with the leave of Paul White, we saw Marko doing both. One of his last slides was this one. So take action on the left hand side, CSP, once again, Cloud Solution Provider Program. We had one own session from QBS on that, explaining to partners what's going on in CSP. I hope you'll recall that if you want to sell Dynamics 365, you need to have a CSP contract. And it's one direct with Microsoft or it's one indirect via a disti. So that's called tier 1 or tier 2. Microsoft announced in this event that there will be a minimum threshold to be able to become a direct CSP. In other words, it's not just a free choice. Microsoft is pushing this direct to the big partners only. And I think the revenue thresholds will vary per country or region. So the other ones will be motivated or forced, whatever word you want to choose, to start working with a CSP indirect. So that's an interesting one. I know that we are a CSP indirect. So if you want to learn more, go look on our landing page and see some blogs to see, what CSP means for you and what your choice options are. We talked about AppSource having services on top of apps. And we saw in the schedule the preview program for sales and marketing. So that's take action for partners. Then watch for more is that Microsoft announced a preview program for Tenerife, followed by a general availability program. And watch for more, like I said, ISV Cloud Embed. In the bottom, I tried to make a red line, but as you see, maybe because of a few beers in Madrid, my hand was not that stable. But there's a link, AKA, also known as MS Directions What's Next. So please take a look there, because I think you can find some interesting information. All in all, I think we're all on our way to become partners, to become Microsoft partners. And it was interesting. I did 2 sessions, and after one session, a Danish NAV partner said to me, Gus, I think this is the end of us being a Dynamics NAV partner. So I looked at him and said, are you going to stop? He said, no, that's not what I mean. We always have been an NAV partner for the last 300 years plus. But now we're not an NAV partner more. We're moving towards becoming a Microsoft partner. And I think that's spot on. And of course, the journey to becoming a Microsoft partner will be different for you depending on you're an ISV, a VAR, of a system integrator. Do you do NAV or CRM or both? Are you big or small? Are you in a small or big country? What's your ambitions look like? But in the end, ladies and gentlemen, the slide you're looking at now is the best slide that you can use in our entire industry. There is no partner organization in the world, and even outside of our planet Earth, that can show a slide like this, which contains, as you can see, Dynamics 365. We just spent half an hour on that. On the right hand side, it has Microsoft 365, which is a bundle that was announced in Inspire in Washington, and it includes Windows 10, it includes Office 365, and it includes EMS, Enterprise Mobility and Security, let's say the infrastructure type of the software. And in the middle you see the best, most rich and most valuable database in the world called LinkedIn. Microsoft, as you maybe recall, paid 26 billion US dollars, a bit more. So that's a big fortune. Never ever they paid more for a company they acquired. And LinkedIn just surpassed the 500 million active users. And you know, this is a database where the users themselves are highly motivated to update all the time, right? So combining these three, and you know, it's not too difficult to predict that will happen in the next years or next months even. Combining these is really a game changer. Now the question is, where are you? Well, if you say, well, Gus, I'm one of the blue dots in the right picture because I do CRM or GP or NAV, well, that's great. But it will be hard for you to get people enthusiastic on your product if you don't talk about the concept. So I did 2 sessions, and both sessions I asked people, who of you have seen this slide? Well, it was 5% max. And from those 5%, I said, who of you are using this slide? It was less than 1%. So really do yourself a favor, and if you forget anything about this session and only remember one thing, then it's this page. Go pitch the complete stack. Step 2, find partners that do the things that you don't want or you cannot do. So start working together. And my strong belief is that, you know, we're now on the brink of a big change in the partner channel. You always have delivered your own projects with your own people, with maybe some freelancers, but all under your umbrella, with one logo, with one type of invoices. You were responsible. I think if we do this well, if we play this game very well, we need to start thinking about delivering a project in teams. Teams of different partners. A CRM partner, an Office partner, an Azure partner, a LinkedIn partner, an NAV partner, bringing together all that. Probably that's new, maybe new to think of. That's also new to start cooperating with partners. Because I've traveled around the world, and in most countries people said, well, the cooperation with partners, not too superb, not too good, but I think that's the next step. So please think about that. Then we will come up, like I said, with a new report. It's the Directions EMEA report. So I thought I'd just copy the landing page. You see the URL in the top, so you can find it there. This report is for free if you're a QBS partner, because then you're a member and you pay a monthly member fee. If you're not a QBS partner, you only pay 400 euros and you get a copy of the report. And if you don't want, that's fine as well, right? There's no obligation. I have to say the report will be available October 20th, so that's Friday in a week. So there's a lot of hard work for my team to get that all ready, but we'll get there. Okay, possible next steps, as I would say, is go check our Directions 2017 landing page. So there will be one page, we're working on it, that will include our preview blogs, that will include the vlogs, the video vlogs that I showed you, that will include the recording of this session, that will include all the other stuff we did. There will be an analysis blog afterwards, so that's all there. We will send you an email because you were part of this webinar, so we'll send you the recording anyway, right? So you can share it with colleagues or maybe listen once again if you want. Next step is that we do QB shares, which is gatherings from all our partners in certain countries that we do every 6 months. That is for QBS members, but the door is open and we have a very welcome for not yet QBS partners and non-QBS partners as well. So please feel free to visit one. There is a landing page you can see. I know in the Denmark one on November the 1st, and I know in the Germany one, I think November the 9th in Hamburg, we got Marco Perisic as a speaker. So if you were not in Madrid, right, you have the chance to see him from a closer distance. Not only that, we'll have an extensive Q&A, questions and answers. You can imagine with 2,000 plus people in Madrid, it was logistical, was not doable to do that. But now we have him very close. So please, even if you're not a QBS partner, come visit, learn and breathe and see what we do. Maybe you like it, at least then I've warned you, right? And I'm not so sure, but look at the landing page. We will check to write down where Marco is because we're still some pending. I'm not sure about Austria, Spain and Netherlands, but we'll find out. Get your copy of the report. Then I said there I had 2 sessions, 7 strong reasons to keep on selling NAV and 4 business reasons to start building a CRM practice. I would be happy to send you the slide deck of those 2 presentations. If you want to have them, send me an email, gk@qbsgroup.com. And I would say enjoy these exciting times, right? Because I know a lot is changing. We all know that, but it's not boring. And try to see it as exciting. Try to see where the chances are and move. Because if I would say what's the overall message from Directions, and by the way, there was also the overall message from Inspire and Directions last year and WPC last year, is go do something. I know you know, right? I know you already know what I'm going to say, but putting your hand in the sand has no added value at all, right? So, and that really brings me to my very last slide that you're going to see now. Do you have any questions? So I look at my left side to Sander, my colleague, who is assisting me very nicely. And Sander, do we have any questions? I have no sound and no picture. That's not the question we're looking for, right? Hi Goose, could you say something about pricing? Good question, Rene. Thank you for that one. So Microsoft came up with prices schemes for Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations, Business Editions before. Since they said we're not going to expand that solution to other countries, they told us that they are working on new pricing. So price not officially said what the pricing will be. I think in general, and that might be also the criticism from prospects and even from your competitors. Why did Microsoft change so fast? Right? I saw a blog that said before Dynamics Business Edition saw the daylight, they already stopped with it. Right? So what we see is that they had reasons to change this very rapidly. And because they changed it so very rapidly, we all have many questions. Right? And the organization is still looking for the questions and finding out. Just to give you an indication, I invited 4 people for an interview for the business report, and 3 of them said, can I do it next year? Simply because they're busy, A, and B, not everything's clear yet. So Rene, that's the answer that I have. Let's try to find out, and as soon as it's available, of course, we will try to inform you. Then we have here, will Dynamics CRM still be on a business edition and enterprise edition? Will sales and marketing a total other product than the current Dynamics 365 Enterprise Edition? So what I believe will happen is that that there will be at least for the sales app, a full flash sales app, and there will be an SMB sales app, like I said, with different price points. So I believe that Microsoft will make a distinction between, let's say, the same solution, the same code base, but an extended one and a limited one with limited prices. Limited price for the limited one. I hope, Ralph, that's an answer to your question. And then I see the dates again here. So thank you, Anne, for doing that. So the dates say we have October 19th, that's next week, Wednesday in Spain. We got November the 1st in Denmark. We got November 9th in Germany. 1 week later, November 16th in Austria. And again, 1 week later, November 23rd in Netherlands. I don't see right now where Marco is. What I got confirmation, he is November 1st in Denmark and he is November 9th in Hamburg, Germany. But please check the page and we will make clear where he is and where it's still pending. And then I see a statement from my colleague Andy, more an observation on the previous statement. There are 2 methods for Tenerife. One is on-prem, one is cloud. And Andy says, I would like to say there are 3 methods, on-prem, NEF, and IaaS, single tenant or multi-tenant on Azure, managed by partners. Okay, I think that's a good point, Andy. So we got 3 options there, right? Call it cloud, call it on-prem, and call it hosting.
Thank you.
Okay, my pleasure. Is there a statement concerning base apps? Are these base apps NAV standard or partner manager vertical solutions? I'm not sure, Ruprecht, if I get it correct. Let me see. Is there a statement concerning base apps? If you say base apps, the first thing I think of is those small apps for Dynamics 365. And if you standard or partner, I'm not really sure. So if you maybe you take it offline and send me an email, gk@qbsgroup.com if you want, also because of time reasons. And then, yeah, final question. Could you please tell something about the position of AX in relation to Dynamics 365? Well, that's an interesting point as well. So Microsoft said there will not be a split anymore between Business Edition and Enterprise Edition. We've seen slides where we saw components or apps, as Microsoft likes to call them, like talent and like retail. We know that these were always AX-oriented apps or oriented products. So when the split between Business Edition NAV and Enterprise Edition AX moves away, we still have products that have a history in either NAV or AX. So I think, and that was the conclusion as well at QBShare in the UK the week before Directions, where somebody said, okay, if I want to deploy talent, then that's an AX module, then I need to have AX knowledge and AX consultants. So that for me is that one other reason to say we're on the brink of you doing the project all yourself towards, let's say, the model that we see a lot in the SAP channel. There's a big project, and one partner does warehouse, and one partner does finance, and a third one does reporting. So I think, with this split, but that's just my assuming, right, reading the tea leaves type of statement, that we will go towards sort of a mix in certain markets of pieces delivered, let's say, NAV based and pieces delivered AX based. Be careful, I'm not a techie, so don't take me too serious on these points if you want, but that's, I would say, the first thing that I would answer. Okay, if I look at my watch, I would say it's about time to finalize this, and I would do that with a last slide. And that comes up in a few minutes, and it might be the most important slide of today. And it says, thank you. These were the most important takeaways from Directions EMEA. You see my name, you see my email address, and you see my mobile number. If you have any questions, please let me know, because at QBS we're here to help you. I hope this was useful for you. If you do, let me know. If it was not useful, something was missing, please let me know. Hope to see you soon. Is it not in one-on-one or at events, then please feel free to be invited for the QB shares. All the best with your business, and hope to see you soon in another QBS webinar. Have a nice evening.